Ago.
Amen.
Ago.
Amen.
Ago.
Amen.
Otwedi aponya me. Ahuna mobrim. Amenti prim. Okohino no no. Onu kwa na ball no obi de ball no. Tumi nyina ewura no no. Wona abodi nyina akoto ade kye ne ade saye. We ye nsi o. Si asoma ye. Am ye bisa de ye ho. O ye fresh asipa. Asase kese. Asase konkron. Oh nana. You supply.
The African narrative. The West African story of slavery. Which book is telling the right story? Did we sell our own people into slavery? What's your opinion about this? Today is one of the day I visit the only surviving African spiritual group in Ghana. I am in here to seek different opinion on slavery.
Na kwere bof kase e bo din ase sori dia no odin ni so no break say jatana na be share din share ma na we african asemi tumi e wodua mu na jesu wodi ade ni abapa ho mba mo sa munye biane nsa kwamre nkoma bof kase je nsa kwabra da moyi da kwa be kase aba ya say osofa me bebe o so ba chi beje.
If you go around the world, black folks almost everywhere do not understand why they ended up in Guadeloupe. They don't understand how they ended up in Guatemala. They don't understand how they end up in Brazil. They don't understand how they end up in Suriname. They don't understand how they end up in England. They don't understand why they end up in America. Did we sell our own children into slavery or not?
We know full well that Africans participated in the slave trade.
I think you were tricked.
And they were fighting, and our people were not so sophisticated in their weaponry.
The Europeans ain't gonna report on when they lost. They're not gonna document how many times they came and got beat.
Today, we want everything, but we cannot think and create. It's time we wake up as men and women and put the right thing at the right place as Africans. Amira, thank you. Give us a song. Africania is a university without walls. We discuss everything which has affected the African. We tell our story, not his story, but our story. So today we are here to talk our story, but not his story. Amira.
It's great to see everybody here. As of last week, we started a very interesting conversation, and we decided to bring the conversation into an international forum. So if you are looking at us over here and you think, oh, this is a small group of number of people, we're not that small like that, because the voice we have over here is a very big voice. Amen. It's a very big voice. It's a voice representing the ancestors. So today we are going to throw light on certain things that has been hidden from us as black people. The new revolution of blackness and black people coming together, we cannot achieve it without not understanding our history. And this history has been controlled by our enemy for too long. Yes, the narrative has been controlled for too long. And some of us have sat down and asked so many questions as to how we can get down to the hidden part of the story. If you go around the world, black folks almost everywhere do not understand why they ended up in Guadeloupe. They don't understand how they ended up in Guatemala. They don't understand how they end up in Brazil. They don't understand how they end up in Suriname. They don't understand how they end up in England. They don't understand why they end up in America. And all of a sudden, we in Africa, we are saying that everybody should come back home. Amira! Amira! Yes, we cannot achieve this without not understanding our history. But today, the tangent I am going to take is an open forum discussion. I am going to bring certain things out, and everybody would have to come here, hold the microphone, and also speak their mind about it. Because knowledge is like a baobab tree. No one person can embrace it all alone. That is the African proverb. Knowledge is like a baobab tree. No one person can embrace it all alone. So what I have, I'm going to put it out. Critical thinking and logic reasoning has been out of our education system for too long. That our people don't do any critical thinking, they don't do any logic reasoning. Did we sell our own children into slavery or not? That is what I want us to digress on. am saying that we did not sell our children into slavery, as being proclaimed by a lot of professors and academicians around the world. No. Even if we did, it might be the latter part of slavery. But let's do this first. Now, Portuguese arrived at the coast of West Africa in 1471. They were here. 1471, they were here. We are in 2025. We had independence in 1957. When you go to the southern part of Africa, South Africa, eastern part, Kenya, all those places that Europeans settled, there are remnants of European bloodline in almost all those places. That is to say, there are white South Africans, there are white Namibians, there are white Zimbabweans. I mean, name southern, eastern, there are over there. These folks, they stayed here from 1471 to 1957 of independence, 475 years. Do you see the western coast with white people? Do you see them there? They are not there. How come? If somebody else lived here for 475 years, how come they don't have a bloodline of group of people? Where did they disappear to? How did they disappear? If an Ewe man stays in the Ghana land for 100 years, he will have children over there. You will see the offspring of his children. So these people stayed on our land and colonized us for this number of years, but we don't see them. You don't see white Ghanaians. Where are they? How did they disappear? One day they decided to just disappear like that. Now, the logic reasoning I'm trying to go into is, if we sold our children, what did we sell them for? What were we desperate for? Between the year 1312 and 1377 was the reign of Mansa Musa under the Mali Empire. Western Africa was one of the richest nations around the world. So look at 1312, 1377, and 1471. When Europeans came, Portuguese arrived at the coast of West Africa, we were already reigning to be one of the richest nations around the world. What didn't we have that we were so desperate to sell our children when the richest man that has ever walked the planet came from West Africa, who is Mansa Musa as we speak today? This is the questions that our academicians don't ask themselves. We don't have any history from 1st century to 13th century in our school books. So where is our history? How can our history begin from 1471 of when Europeans came to Africa? When we were flourishing in abundance of gold, when we were flourishing in abundance of trading in spices and everything, but we were so desperate that we want to give our children away for somebody to take to the other part of the world. For what? This is the multi-billion-dollar question. I want everybody to sit down and ask themselves, why? Why did we sell our children for? Now they said we sell our children for in exchange for alcohol. So you want to tell me that the time of the reign of Mansa Musa, there was no alcohol around for people to drink? So that be, so that be, so that obi. So is a thunder god. Cook the drink, named popularly as apeteshi. Our people had engineered how to distill alcohol before the Europeans came here. How did we then sell our children because they brought us whiskey and we have never taken a strong drink before? What nonsense is that about? And this is what our people have believed in. The separation of black folks around the world is for the fact that they have given us the divide and conquer method of reasoning. Where I see this man to be different from me, he sees me to be different. Why? Because this man is working around 24/7. I don't want to be part of Africans, but he sold us into slavery, man. You know, I don't want to know them. Amera! You meet a Brazilian somewhere, and a Brazilian is trying to wonder, where are you from? Ghana. Oh, that is where the slave. So you guys sold us into slavery. We can't unite because of the selling thing. Because I am still thinking that this guy here wants to sell me. So I don't believe in him. And if you don't believe in each other, if we don't believe in each other, we cannot build a continent. The fight for black folks, we have to unite to move Africa forward. Therefore, we have to know our history. As I have asked, what were we desperate for? They said, oh, we didn't have sugar here. So when they brought sugar to us, We tasted the sugar and we liked it so much, it was sweet, we decided to give our children away. Where does sugarcane come from? Sugarcane. Sugarcane. Is sugarcane in England? Where is sugarcane? Sugarcane is in Africa. The abundance of the sweetness is in Africa. The honey, the bees that make honey, they started from Africa. Okay? There's no lion in England, but they name lion. There's no banana over there, but they put the name banana. Brothers and sisters, America, the liberation of Africa does not necessarily mean that we come here to only discuss the spiritual systems. Africania is a surviving group that is making sure that we are projecting the voice of Africa in history, in spirituality, in mathematics, everything that concerns us holistically. That is what we are projecting over here. So if you are watching us from far and you want to be part of us, please come here and educate yourself from the miseducation. Amera, 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 why would you sell your child for sugar when there's abundance of sugar over here? Now, the dungeons that has been built, which is the symbolic thing that represents that slavery has taken place over here, is there. But I ask you, the enemy's house is older than every house in Elmina. Elmina dungeon is almost 500 years old or more than that. But there is no house in Elmina that is older than the dungeon. So what happened? What was the tactics? Did the colonizer build his house before the people came to settle there? Or the people were there, he came and bombed and destroyed them? What happened? Please, if you are watching this, tell me, how come the dungeon in Elmina is older than every house in Elmina?
You see, if you go to Elmina today, Nana Kwame Nkrumah was first settling in Elmina. But because of the attacks and all those capturing, he moved Elmina and went and settled in Iguafo, the forest. Now, if you go to Elmina, the king himself lives in, the parliament king himself lives in, Nana Kwame Nkrumah lives in Iguafo, which is in the forest close to Denchira. So from what he is saying, that is true, because they came with the military tactics, conquered us, pushed us out, build their stretchers wherever they want to build, then conquered other people to use them and start arresting people like what the Arabs did. They came to the village, burned your houses. If you study how Ghana Empire destroyed, they came with their horses, burned the houses. You know, as you start running, they capture you and take you slavery.
They were using the military, they were using the missionaries. They were very cunning about it. So you, the African that is selling your brother, they are making it look like you are doing something moral. Because if that person is a social deviant, then it is better that he is sold than be left to torment the society. That is somebody being lied to do that. If you can sell this person who is going wayward, then there's rather a financial benefit than you letting the person be around so that you'll be at loss.
The planned thing is an evil intention that the slavery was intentionally plotted by the Caucasians, the Europeans, before they headed towards the coast. That's why they're able to build their castle very strong in terms of enemy's attack.
Critical thinking and logic reasoning is what I'm talking about, because we haven't spent time to dialogue on this. We are busy reading books that our colonizer has written for us, and we have consumed all those books, but we haven't asked ourselves, hang on, come on, how come there is a cannon bomb facing into the town? How come there's a cannon bomb facing into the town? And I want you guys to find out, when the Fanti say Prem Atu, what is the meaning of Prem Atu? Because Prem is not a Fanti language. And it's all in regards to the monument that is there and the military tactics they use to take our people away. Any means necessary, by force, you have to go. So our people did not just stand there, look at white people, oh, you guys are here, oh, come on, these are our children, can you give me some sugar? Oh, take our children away because we have alcohol. Yes, our people could have participated in slavery, but I think that they lost the war. We were beaten into submission because they brought military tactics that we were not aware of, and they took us off guard. And by the late 1800s, late 1700s and 1800s, our kings were forced to be able to give people up, because every king in his town is almost about to be kidnapped, to be taken away. But if you can provide humans, then they leave the king alone. That is where the trading might have started. But for us to look like we did not have any fight back, we didn't have no winning story, that everything was like we are the weakest humans being that ever existed, feeble, we couldn't do nothing. The enemy did not do anything wrong. He came here, he walked through our doors, and all he did was, I have whiskey. Can you give me 5 children? I have sugar. Can you give me 10 children? I have blah, 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 blah. That is how the story looked like. That is how the story looked like. But when you look at the African continent, there are more stronger people on this continent that fought against slavery. So brothers and sisters out there, they shouldn't think like Africa is just a place where anything just happened because we were just there and we did not fight back. I am saying that the enemy had a military tactics that they brought onto the continent that they took us off guard.
We're all beaten into agreement. It's like, if you want to survive, if you don't want to bear our brand, then give us this way for us to attack the. They would then turn and say, oh, even your own fellow brother, your own country helped us in ways, so we cannot be blamed 100%. So at this level, this is how they continue to operate. And for us, we can't accept that responsibility. They did it in diverse way. They got us into it. We did it all right, but it wasn't willingly.
The Africans were involved in us ending up in the West. You know, I think you were tricked.
They were fighting, and our people were not so sophisticated in the weaponry, except for the women soldiers. They were those who used the strategy of disappearing and going behind the enemy line, like how our people in Ethiopia did, calling upon the lions to fight for them. So you can call upon the snake to go and fight and attack the enemy. And it was not the question of selling our people.
Anytime one is captured, you become part of them. They will use you for at least 4 years, 5 years, and you become part of them. You become part of the system. Sometimes you become part of the kinship, within the kinship. This has been practiced for many years as an African people. We don't capture somebody, keep him forever. We have never participated by selling people. We don't sell. So if we are talking about the slavery which came just recently, the Caucasians, because they have the power of the gun, they have used the gun to capture us, as what the Arabs did. The Arabs come, because in those days we have these are mud houses. They burn the house, put fire around, and as people start to run, then they capture you, send you and sell you. This was started by the Arabs. Fine. If you look at Ghana, let's talk about Ghana. What slavery, what happened here was the Caucasians who came to start those things. But as time goes on, people also came into it. The Caucasians will empower you, as somebody said, also said it, that you become part of you. They use you, go and bring them, then they give you something. But it wasn't something that became official, like we're running around and selling our children for sugar, for salt. We had all those things. So for me, my little thing is, we never sold ourselves. The Caucasian, no, we never sold ourselves. The Caucasian, because of the gun, the power of the gun, we were conquered. And as we were conquered, they took us and used us how they could use us. And I said they took that gun, same gun power, to use other people to capture people.
This is the part of history I don't think that we know about, is the wars between the Europeans and the Africans when the Europeans was trying to come. The Europeans ain't going to report on when they lost. They're not going to document how many times they came and got beat and regrouped and came back. That's what they're not going to document. But it's a little history out here that says that they came and lost plenty times, went back, regrouped, came back. Sometimes they lost a second time, went back, regrouped, and came back a third time. Now, Did the Africans participate? I think eventually they did. I don't think initially they just was doing it, but I think eventually, this is with the European slave trade. With the European slave trade, I think they were beat into submission. I agree with that. I think that they were beat into a submission, and then they really started participating.
We know full well that Africans participated in the slave trade. Brother Zoe brings the point about the Portuguese in the 1400s. He's right. But there was a slave trade happening before the 1400s. I'm going to start with the sub-Saharan slave trade.